Now, more of Illinois Rising, presented by the Illinois Policy Institute, the only show directly addressing the problems and solutions for Illinois. Now, from AM 560, here's Dan Proft.
Welcome back to Illinois Rising. I'm Pat Hughes of the Illinois Opportunity Project, filling in this week for the great Dan Proft. And joining me is Kathleen Murphy of the Illinois Opportunity Project as well. Kathleen, there has been a lot of reports in the media recently about the Illinois Senate, Leader Cullerton potentially talking to Leader Rauner on the Republican side about a comprehensive budget solution that is being sort of worked out. And, you know, we've sort of peeled away for our listeners sort of the highlights of what this would be or look like. Why don't you take them through a few of the highlights of if this ever became law, God forbid, what would happen? Just a few of the highlights of what would happen.
Sure. Well, they have a 33% income tax hike for you, which takes you almost back to where it was under the 2011 income tax increase.
Which was so effective.
Effective.
Correct.
Yes. Tax hike now, reforms later. It worked out great for us. They'll tax your soda pop, sugary drinks. There's more borrowing, $7 billion in borrowing to pay the state's unpaid bills. There's a pension reform that doesn't end the defined benefit pension system that we need to end in order to truly solve the pension crisis. There's a minimum wage increase, CPS pension pickup. Yes, lots of goodies.
Right. So let's break that down a little bit. Right. So I love this. Right. So we're gonna increase taxes on people who are already taxed enough. Their property tax burdens are incredible, and their house values have fallen. Now we're going to add 33% tax to their income, and then we're going to tax their soda. I love this. Right. Because we've already taxed cigarettes, gasoline. You know, and it's this whole. Dan talks about this all the time. Like, we don't want you to drink sugary soda.
Bad for you.
It's bad for you, so we're going to tax it, but they haven't budgeted.
We're looking out for you.
Yeah, but then they haven't budgeted, so people will drink the soda.
Right.
I like soda, right? And it's, by the way, it's even diet soda, which doesn't have sugar in it.
Right.
So it's this idea of, we want to do this for your health.
But actually, we're relying on you.
We're relying on it.
Yeah.
We need you to smoke your cigarettes. We need you to drink your booze. We need you to gamble. We need you to do all these kinds of things. And so that every time I see that, I think it's funny. But also, the CPS pension pickup, you've got this feckless teachers union that is rolling over Mayor Emanuel 2 different times with Karen Lewis and everyone else. And now the state, who should rise up against and say, what are we doing? We're going to pick that up. Right.
No, it's ridiculous. There's no reason suburban taxpayers should be paying for CPS's budget deficit. Chicago voters knew who they were voting in. They keep voting in the same people who keep doing the same things. They do it over and over and over again. They have made no effort to reform their own system to pay off some of these bills, to make structural reforms to their own pension system. They just expect money to come in from the state, from the federal government. They rose property taxes across the city.
Right. So this doesn't resemble, like, for example, look at the minimum wage increase, right? A minimum wage increase. This is the reality of a minimum wage increase, right? It leads to job loss, right? Because it raises the cost of labor, which raises employer cost. Now, the reason why they want that is because union contracts are tied to the increased minimum wage. The unions get more money, and then they can sell it as something that's good for the people when it's not. And sort of my big point about this whole budget, and whether Senator Rauner is talking about it or seriously considering agreeing to this with Cullerton, is what the is what the governor's going to do, right? Because the governor has campaigned originally. And then campaigned sort of in absentia on behalf of legislators this last go-around on the idea of absolute structural reform. And that if he didn't get certain reforms, we're going to keep going until, we change the culture and the status of the state of Illinois. And it strikes me that if this were somehow to pass the Illinois Senate, if it were somehow to pass, well, it could pass the House because they've got control, but they're going to want bipartisan support, right? They're going to want to call it a bipartisan bill. Let's presume that happens. In my view, the governor would have to veto it, because if he doesn't, what he's telling the people who elected him, what he's telling the people who are going to look to potentially reelect him in 2018, is that all of the things I said about standing with you and fighting with you, right, would all go away to cut a complicit deal. And then what will ultimately happen, in my opinion, is he'll ride a little wave of bipartisan sort of feel-good moments and we got a budget and all this stuff. But when he goes down the road to campaign on what he's accomplished, the left is going to hammer him with his own bill that he agreed to and that he signed, that it wasn't enough, that he insisted on certain things, that this is the part of the bill that's killing us still, instead of just sticking to his guns and staying on the side of the taxpayer.
Right. Well, and not only him, but Senate Republicans. Are you going to vote for a minimum wage increase to get some bipartisan compromise?
Not if they don't want to be.
Are you going to vote for a 33% income tax increase? I see a lot of opposition research and a lot of mail pieces coming out of this.
Yeah, not if they don't want to be primaried. Right. And, so maybe there's some people that are thinking about, okay, this is going to be my last stand and then I'm going to retire. But the reality of it is the thing about Rauner that's so attractive to me, to people like us, and I realize where his approval ratings are right now, but that's part and parcel of sort of messaging and things that can be switched between now and 2018, is that he, isn't beholden to anyone for career. He's not beholden to anyone financially. He can truly be an independent voice to say, look, this state is a mess. It's been run into the ground. Mike Madigan and all of his cronies have destroyed people's lives, have hurt people's lives. And I'm going to be the person who will be the bulwark against that. And that, to me, standing on the side of the taxpayer, of the citizen, is his best chance at reforming the state and being reelected. And if he agrees to something like this, he gives a lot of that up.